partners actually don't want it on their interface. So they're like, if you've done it, then that's good. But if you require it, then on this page, in the performance page, it actually gets mapped right here. It shows what the due diligence status is, whether it is 100%, 75%, 40%, whatever. And then, you can just click on that and you can download the documents also. So sometimes people will even give access to their finance team or, other teams that are performing due diligence, so it can be downloaded automatically. Then this is the partner KPI page. There are various ways to get to this page. So right now what we had done was we actually got here through the dashboard from implementing partners. So here you could have implementing partners for events as well as CSR or just for CSR. And then all of these partners, you're actually able to give them custom names also, which in this case they've done because it helps them to find them more easily. So say this is the name that appears for the organization automatically, but sometimes, so for example, Mahindra's Nanhi Kali is, the name of the organization is KC Mahindra Education Trust, but they are more popularly known as Project Nanhi Kali or Nanhi Kali, PNK or Nanhi Kali. So if you see KC Mahindra Education Trust, you may not know what you're doing with them, especially if it's someone who's trying to show to the board and is not super familiar with all the implementation details. So this feature allows you to sort of give them a unique name, and then you can view their performance. This also always gets organized according to the metrics that you're looking at. So if you go to one of the achievement storyboard pages, you'll see all the implementing partners that are associated. So this is coming from 50 projects, and there are 6 implementing partners who have implemented all of these projects, right? So then I can go to any of these implementing partners and see, what projects they've implemented that we are getting results here for, what is the average project health, total number of beneficiaries. Again, this is customizable. So if you want a different list of KPIs that you apply to partners for performance. So this is the implementation discipline KPI. This is the number of lives impacted KPI. And then this is, grant dispersal status. But if you require, like I said, different KPIs for partners, that can also be done. And then one, sort of simple plugin here that we are able to keep on or off for an organization is the due diligence status. So like I said, percentage of due diligence also becomes available right here. Then all of these are also quick links. So you don't need to go through CSR to access all of these projects or project health. So for example, if you're on the storyboard page, where you can see the performance based on the metric and the unit that you've set. So the metric here is access to sanitation, the unit is toilets. Data is coming from 50 different projects, and these are all 50 different locations. You can obviously see the drill down of this data as well. So if a baseline was updated or not, 2018 data, 19, 20, 21 data, and so on. So by year, you can see this. You can also see it by quarter. So if the data is updated by partners on a quarterly basis and reviewed on a quarterly basis, the charts get organized accordingly. And then this is the funding status for these same 50 projects. What is the health of each of these? And here, health is pretty much the same for all of these projects. But wherever you see that, health seems to be much lower, you can instantly identify that Tandalbadi, Maharashtra has much lower health than, whatever is the average here across all the different partners. So you can get in touch with that particular partner also straight away. And then UN SDGs are mapped here as well. So this mapping is also automated. I think this you'd seen when you were at Honeywell as well. This is the primary metric from which we are getting to all the thematic areas, by the way. So they have one primary metric, which is the Gram Seva project, and they measure this in terms of lives impacted. But under this, they have various thematic areas like healthcare, sanitation, clean and safe drinking water, convergence, digitalization, all of that, right? So here, obviously, because it's a very large project, they have various SDGs that are mapped. So there are 7 SDGs which are reporting results here. But for each thematic area, so we looked at sanitation, which was mapped to SDG 6. But if I look at a different thematic area, say if I look at improved air quality and environment through tree plantation, here obviously I'm going to be seeing SDG 15, which is life on land, and so on, right? But the average project health, because it's still the same 50 projects, is going to be the same, and the active number of milestones is going to be the same also. So, and then it also shows you what is the utilization across various metrics for the budget that you had allocated towards them. Against the target that you had set, what are you achieving? These targets can be, we actually help our partners in setting these targets. So these can either be contextual targets or scientific targets for the data that you're measuring for your projects. And then the outliers also stand out because the targets are sort of set in place here. And then sometimes, for some of our partners, if they want, an additional layer of analytics or insights or reporting, we are able to facilitate that as well. So I'll show that unique example to you in a few minutes once we are done with this account, I think. Any questions at this point?
No, that's fine, Gagan. I get it.
Okay. Okay, and from here, so implementing partner KPIs page, you can directly access the project health from here as well. Even if you're on the unique page for the project, you can actually get the health from there also. But this is quick and easy because the KPIs are all there, and you see that some project has 60%, 50% health, so you can just quickly click on that and get there. The way that the metrics are organized is that each implementation milestones are organized is that each milestone will have the activity text, then the impact text. So why are we performing this activity? Then it has a frequency as to how frequently should this activity be performed. It also has a reporting timeline. So when do you want to start reporting on this? So this also you'll observe that, even for this project, some projects will start reporting in 2018, others will start, some milestones will start reporting only the following year in 2019. So this is fully customizable. The only condition is that the date should be within the implementation timeline of the project. Then it also has what percentage of the budget is allocated to this particular milestone. What is the mode of disbursement or implementation? So this is actually based on the MCA categories. There are 6 categories that are specified by MCA. We'll just look at them quickly. So MCA says that you can spend the money on admin costs, implementation costs, or creating infrastructure, direct fund transfer, buying goods and services, or training beneficiaries. So these are the 6 categories under which the money can be spent. So based on that, this mapping is done. So you'll notice that some places it will be project implementation, training, whatever. Again, the data is filled in through a single form, and it gets organized both in terms of aggregates here as well as in terms of independent milestone level dispersal mode here at both places automatically. Then this last piece is what is the evidence that you will provide to say that this milestone was actually performed. So this was a 3-year project and it was to be implemented. This milestone was to be implemented annually. So they had said that the evidence that they'll provide is beneficiary level data for government schemes, but the evidence could also be a geotag picture, it could be a quarterly report or an annual report that is submitted and so on. And then the great thing is that, if it is an Excel file like this, for example, you can simply, sort of see it just like you would see a normal Excel file. So they are able to upload the entire file and you can, look through it and either approve it or reject it. So all of that workflow automation is also built in here. Any milestone that gets approved gets locked. So they can't update the evidence once the milestone is approved until you unlock it for them. So say, for example, you approved it and then the partner comes back and says that, even though I had a picture last time, now I have a better geotagged picture. So maybe I can upload that. So then that is obviously possible. What history means is, who has performed the action. So the non-profit will have updated the information. You may have approved it or rejected it. So all of that is sort of tracked in history. So this is all basically built to sort of support your audits that come down the line, right? So what did you spend the money on? What is the proof that the money was spent? In some cases, partners will also upload additional evidence. So here, for example, it was beneficiary level data, but they may want to also add some narrative about, what was actually discussed in these meetings. Were there some key outcomes? For which metrics are being tracked on the platform and so on. So they can upload that additional data also. And it is very, again, easy to do it. So simply enter the title, location. Location you can select. So this could also be a multi-location project. So there'll be 5, 6, whatever number of locations. And they can select that this evidence corresponds to this location. And then they can add all the details and upload the files. So that is how it's organized. Based on what percentage of milestones have been completed, the project health gets generated. Again, this is fully automated. So if, evidence is missing and it is updated, so I'll actually show that to you on our UAT dashboard. So this is actually our UAT instance where we are seeing a dummy account right now. This dummy account gets recycled. So there will be references to like projects by various corporates here. So we have a few dummy accounts that we give for demos to partners and so on. But here, if there is a project that has milestones and milestones have not been updated, then that can be quickly done. I think I remember which project did not have milestones corresponding to it. So right now we are doing this demo for Yes Bank, but previously I think it was done for Mahindra. We use the same account.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the expenses form,
So
Gagan, that you were mentioning, how does it classify into administrative cost and core program cost?
So how do you mean? How does it classify? So how do I select which cost goes where, or
Yeah.
I can actually show it to you in the edit view. So this is the view that becomes available to the implementing partner when they are filling out project details, and this is actually a very intuitive view. So it has basic general details identified here. Then objective mate has Schedule 7 categories that are identified here. Then expected impact, it will have an like a text impact that they input, but it also aligns automatically with SDGs like we had seen last time, but I'll show it to you again today. And then with beneficiaries, you're able to select people, environment, or local community, and you're actually able to enter the GPS location also. So here instead of Nashik, if I say Sula Vineyards in Nashik, right? That's the only location I know in Nashik, so pardon me. I'm sure there are no beneficiaries there, but yeah. And then in implementation, the admin cost can be entered as a whole in some cases. And this again, if they know that it's 5% or less than 5%, this calculation happens automatically on the platform. And then as they are entering the milestones, these milestones basically automate the proposal that was discussed and agreed upon between the implementing partner and the donor. So everything that was discussed and agreed upon in terms of, when, what, how, who, all of that gets mapped here. And then they are able to select what is the mode of disbursement. So it could be direct fund transfer, buying goods and services, creating infrastructure, training beneficiaries, project implementation, or administrative costs. The reason why we've kept this as a drop down and not as an input is because, one, MCA actually recognizes all of these categories as valid categories for spending your CSR funds. And two, we found that, when people start entering their own information here, they get very creative and then it becomes very hard to pass out the data. So does this answer your question, Jhalak, or
Yeah,
did
it
you
does.
ask
It
something
does.
else?
No, it does.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then right here on this form, they are also able to select the frequency and the reporting timeline as well. So like I mentioned, right? So if the frequency is biannual, but the reporting timeline, so this project, it starts in April of 2020 and it goes on till March of 2022. So you can only select a timeline which is within this range for implementing your milestones, right? But your reporting timeline can be, 6 months out, 1 year out, even if it's biannual. So it's not necessary that that milestone has to begin at the beginning of the program itself. So that flexibility is again provided to the partner. And then again with budget allocation, sometimes the exact breakup is not available, but percentage wise they can do the mapping. So if you have the amount, it does the percentage mapping. If you have the percentage, it does the amount mapping. Even for programs which are quite complex in terms of, funds being disbursed, this has been a fairly doable form for most organizations. So we haven't had an organization come back to us and say, I don't know how we are spending the money as it pertains to this form. So that is good. And then if there is any, so this form requires 100% allocation of funds. So if, for example, I make this 3%, it will show me what is the pending amount. So I cannot do anything less than 100% of the fund utilization. That is a basic requirement for the implementation form. So 100% of the funds have to be allocated. Otherwise, they won't be able to save it. So, if again I go back to this form and I just remove, say, this category altogether, then I won't be able to save changes to this form at all.
Okay.
So that is there. And yeah, and then I was telling you that if your project is not eligible for CSR, so here it says CSR eligibility, no. So if I click on this, it actually shows me what is missing. So it says that my relevant documentation is missing. And then if I go here, it shows me, which mandatory documents are missing. So it looks like all mandatory documents are missing. So if I update all of these and they get verified, then I will be eligible for CSR.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So that is about the project in terms of, what becomes visible to you on the front end. Then all of your installments get mapped here.
Mm-hmm.
And, here there is a single installment, but there will be projects where, there'll be
Milestone
multiple
based.
installments.
Yeah.
Yeah, paid over years. So even those get mapped just
Okay.
like this. So there's no problem. And then it also, sort of connects with, so if I go to amount donated, and then this page gets rendered, which has all of my categories against which I've spent, and then, I can select the categories that I want to see the percentage of spending for and so on. But if I go to amount donated, it actually has a report here, which I can also export. And then I can also filter by, any period, what was the dispersal that happened in the last month, in the last week, in the last year, last financial year. And I can select entities also. So if I have multiple entities, which I think Schneider Electric does, so you can select by entity also to see, which entity has contributed to which project and in the last month or whatever, any permutation combination basically is possible here.
Okay.
Yeah.
But those milestone payments will also be uploaded from, a particular form or somewhere.
What do you mean?
As in, the milestones through which we'll be actually paying them out, and whether we have actually paid them or not. It's not automatically
Yeah.
bank linked, right? We'll have to feed that data in.
So if you use SAP or something, we could do an integration also.
Okay.
But typically what we do is we actually have in this module, we do workflow automation. So for example, if you just want to give access to your finance people, right? So you can actually add access for both financial approvers as well as project level approvers. And then, you can also actually add access for data entry people if you want to keep those two roles as separate. And then whoever your financial people are who have been provided access, they can set milestones for fund dispersal. So they can add the text for the milestones, what is the amount to be disbursed, what is the frequency. So say, for example, you've decided that equal amounts every quarter will be disbursed, or, you'll make one annual payment, or you'll make it biannual or one time or whatever. So you can set the frequency. Then you can assign the users. So the users will automatically get populated here. Then you can set conditions for approval as well. And those conditions can be linked to implementation milestones or to custom metrics that, I need these milestones to be reviewed before I disperse the funds. So you can set multiple instances basically. And then for each instance, you can link it to implementation milestones if you're looking to grant the funds only after the milestone has been completed.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Yeah. So that is that. And then project health, again, at a glance, you can view the project health for all of the projects. I think one of the features, in fact, two of the features that we've added since we spoke last time, I'm very sure of that because those were done in the time of COVID actually, are remote monitoring. So true remote monitoring of projects and beneficiary mapping. These two we've done, I think after we had spoken with Honeywell. So the true remote monitoring, it actually allows partners to take 360-degree views of their location. So again, if this was like an exact GPS location is mapped here and they've done it. So these people have entered Mumbai, Maharashtra, India. But I think on the project that I just entered on UAT, I had like a exact location, Sula Vineyards. So I don't know if Sula has a 360-degree view or not. So here you can see where the exact location is marked. It actually becomes available. And your partner directly through Google Maps, they can basically upload the 360-degree view for their location and you'll be able to view it. So, where health camps get conducted or things like that happen, you're able to, so they have a 360-degree view. So here I can just see what's happening at Sula Vineyards. So if there was a health camp that was getting conducted and you're like, I would like to see it later. So then you can just have them upload the 360-degree view. It could also be a training session that you're doing, or a commemoration ceremony or something. Any project basically, they can do the 360-degree view for it, upload it directly to Google Maps. They don't even have to do it on the platform and it becomes available to you for viewing.
Okay.
So this was one, and then the other feature that I think we had developed, which was a bit more useful, was so there actually I'll show you a different project that they have where there is in fact an error that, the type of error that we had anticipated that might come up when people do projects, right, on the platform. So we realized 2-3 things. One is that when beneficiaries get reported, sometimes partners will not maintain lists at the back end. And even if they do maintain the lists, if multiple people within the implementing agency are working on that project, there might be a duplication of partners, and sometimes beneficiaries receive the same benefit from multiple corporates also. So some of these cases, we had anticipated, and some were sort of highlighted by the partners that we were working with. So I'll just show you one real example of that. So in Jairaj village, there was one beneficiary, Geeta Kumari, who was, sort of added by two different people at the implementing partners agency. So because you have to align Aadhaar numbers to the extent possible, or any other ID proof to the extent possible. What happened was that one person had entered her as Kumari Geeta. The other person at the implementing agency had entered her as Geeta Rawat. But because the platform found that, even though different phone numbers were linked, but it was the same Aadhaar card, it has flagged these entries as duplicate. Now, if an Aadhaar number is entered which is, say, invalid, it will flag it as invalid. I'll show you that also very quickly, maybe. So I'll just copy this, and it won't let me save it only, by the way. If I go to the edit view here and I try to save it as an incorrect, I try to remove like a digit, it won't let me save it only. It says enter correct identity number. But if while uploading I had made this upload as part of my file, it would be flagged as an invalid number. Then we also went one step further, where we are now integrated with the government database. So for partners that are implementing programs where they want the validation for beneficiaries directly from the government database, we are able to offer that as well. So those are some of the fun features that we've added. Yeah, and one of the other things, were you saying something?
No, I think that's very nice. Something like that is.
And then so the other thing that we also did was that you're able to filter by gender. So, whether it is male, female, or other genders, and then you're also able to filter by location. So if you have large projects which are implemented across multiple locations, you can, and you want to see how many beneficiaries in that location that are women. This we've also extended further to, you can filter by PWD. So if you want to only look at the list of physically sort of disabled people or socio-economic background and so on. So we've done all of those integrations also later. But this is like, at least at the bare minimum, what comes stock with the product is that you're always able to filter by gender, and for any location you're able to filter by gender. So that is something that we've done.
Okay. Anything on the amendments that you have thought that you would want to include, other than the form and all that will get updated? That's fine.
Yeah.
For instance, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so for instance, if from a organization standpoint, I would be interested in knowing maybe in my last quarter that this is the amount that is unspent for me, and I might have to transfer it to an unspent account if I don't spend it in the last quarter as well. So does it throw me a trigger or information or anything like that?
Yeah. So there are automated reminders, and we did this entire section. I think I told you. So we did the planning and budgeting module. We'd done this last year, but after the amendment came out, we made some tweaks to this as well. So firstly, based on your mandatory CSR, it allows you to allocate your funds across, company foundation, direct implementation, third party implementation. For each of these again, and you can also allocate budget by thematic area. It always shows you unspent budget in all of these heads also, right? So if I go to any of these heads, whatever I've allocated but not spent, it continues to show me that. So what we essentially ended up doing, I think I'll go through one stream first. So firstly, for planning and budgeting, there are various things now that the report also requires. So say, for example, you've identified that your amount to be spent this year is less than 50 lakhs. In that case, it basically requires you to update your board of directors versus your CSR committee. So it makes your CSR committee requirement optional. If you are a public company that has a CSR spend of more than 50 lakhs, then it automatically allows you to enter. So the mandatory requirement in that case, if you're a listed company, would be that there should be one independent director and two other directors, right? So it, as a mandatory field, it asks you to feed all of that data. Then for the planning and budgeting, so this amount, it actually helps you to do all of those things as well. So it sort of streamlines your reporting based on the type of organization that you are as well. And then within this module itself, where the monies are getting allocated and so on, you can actually go to thematic areas and you can set, right? So you can select any thematic area. Say, for example, you select disaster management. Then you can set the entity level budget for that thematic area. So actually, I want to see in the previous year if I've set it for anything. Or actually, why should we see it for the previous year? We can see it for this year also. So let's say I want to do disaster management. I can set any budget here. Let's say I want to do 2 crores in disaster management. So it will simply, so this is now added to the list, but it'll ask me to add projects. And even before I add projects, it shows me, what is the planned amount. So right now I only have a planned amount, which is, 2 crores. I don't have allocated amounts because, I haven't allocated it to the projects, and my total amount is completely unallocated. So once I align it to the projects, then it continues to track what is spent versus unspent. So I'm actually in a non-profit account, which is why I don't have any details here. So wait a second, we'll just do this with the for-profit account. There we might be able to see some details at least. So here, if I go to the previous financial year, yep. Yeah, so this is what was allocated, and I can click on add projects. So here it shows me out of my planned amount, what have I allocated, what is unallocated. If I have allocated something, who have I allocated it to? So it also shows me the projects here. Then if I want to sort of see what was committed, what is spent, what is unspent, it generates all of that right here.
Okay.
So it continues to track that. It gives you reminders to put it in an unspent account. So it does reminders as well as notifications after the date has been crossed, because until the next 30 days after the end of the financial year, you can still allocate the unspent amount. So
Right.
it continues to sort of do that for you.
Okay.
So yeah, so you can continue to track all of this, and even if you have a project that you want to allocate it to, which does not have an implementing partner or mode set, right? So this is basically adopted by companies at the beginning of the financial year, right? Where they will, sort of map the existing projects that they have and then create new projects where I may not have an implementing partner or I may not have started the project, but I just want to allocate my entire amount. And then, as and when I keep adding the projects, I can just keep mapping them. Do you see what I mean? So say I select direct implementation. I say new project. So now I'll be able to link this to any projects that are available to me within the area of promotion of education, which right now there might be none because the only project that was there has already been mapped. But that is what it essentially does. So you're able to basically keep your entire list. So you're able to plan in such a way that there'll be no unspent amount. So right here, you'll be able to see that there is an unallocated budget. So at the beginning of the year itself, you can plan by thematic area. And then even for this unallocated amount that is available, it keeps on flagging to you that, this amount is unavailable. And we do the tracking down to the level of the project. So if I go back to my SBI Foundation account, I'll actually quickly show you. Maybe we'll go to Armigal Village, that will be easiest. So here if I go to custom metrics, I actually have a project budget. So the budget is tracked at 4 levels. The first is the planning that you were doing in the planning and budgeting module, where you were allocating the amount. Then you've committed certain amounts to projects. So for this project, you've committed that, whatever over the course of 3 years or whatever, I will make this payment, right? Then against this, you've made some disbursals. So that is your donated amount. And then there is a utilization amount, right? Which the non-profit reports that out of the disbursed amount that was, sort of received by them, they've utilized certain funds. So all of that is tracked at the level of the project and even at the level of the milestone in certain cases. So all of this storyboard pages, the data that we were seeing, where we were seeing that this is what was allocated and this is what has been utilized by the partner. So this was basically for this particular milestone, this is the fund that was dedicated and this is what has been utilized by the partners in reality. So this I can actually drill down. So partners actually find this very helpful when they get questions for, say, for example, how much have we spent on roads this year, right? For how many kilometers of road, how much have we spent? So they are simply able to get into that particular location and they are able to see if an amount spent has been reported. So यहाँ पे तो सारा ही data 00 है, but for example here where there is a repairing of toilets metric that has been set, so they've reported that they've repaired 38 toilets and the amount that they spent for repairing it was 76,000. So down to this level we actually track both the amount that is spent, the beneficiaries that are mapped, and the evidence if that is required as well. So when the evidence is attached, there is actually a view button that appears here which you can click to view the evidence. And in terms of beneficiaries, they can simply add the beneficiaries directly from the beneficiary list that they had originally uploaded. So they can just select all the beneficiaries who are sort of available on the list, and they can add them, and then they appear in the selected beneficiaries module. So then we've also done some, like advanced grant utilization and beneficiary dashboards for some partners that are interested in that. So that is another thing to think about. So now I'm going back to your list for a second because I'm seeing that we have only 5 minutes left. So I think project KPIs we've done, partner KPIs we've done, impact metrics aligned. Okay, so impact metrics aligned with SDGs, this is actually done through a proprietary process that we follow. So the mapping to the indicator level happens on the platform automatically. But to set the metrics, we actually speak with your implementing partners to understand how the project is being implemented. So here, you'll see SDG 4.1, 2, 3, 6 for promotion of education. But if I change this to something different, say I change it to protect biodiversity, it will show me different goals, targets, and indicators. So for the indicator level setting of impact, I'll actually show a document to you. Let me stop sharing my screen for a second.